I found her journal buried beneath the floorboards of our old house, and the first page made me collapse to my knees. The words blurred through my tears as I read. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. But you need to know the truth about why I left you. I never thought I'd return to this place, the house where I grew up, where my mother raised me alone, after my father vanished when I was 7 years old. For 32 years, I believed he abandoned us. For 32 years, I carried that wound like a stone in my chest. My name is Clara, and 3 days ago, I received a call that changed everything. Your mother has passed away, the lawyer said. She left you the house and a letter that must be opened inside the property. I hadn't spoken to my mother in 5 years. Our last conversation ended with screaming, with accusations, with me telling her I never wanted to see her again. She had refused to tell me anything about my father, always changing the subject, always deflecting with silence or tears. He's gone, Clara, that's all you need to know. But it wasn't all I needed to know. I needed to understand why. Why did he leave? Why didn't he fight for me? Why did I spend my entire childhood wondering if I was the reason he disappeared? Now, standing in the doorway of my childhood home, I felt like that 7-year-old girl again. The house smelled of dust and old memories. Photographs still hung on the walls, frozen moments of a happiness I barely remembered. I found the lawyer's envelope on the kitchen table where I used to eat breakfast. My hands trembled as I opened it. Dear Clara, I'm sorry for all the years of silence. I thought I was protecting you. I thought ignorance would be kinder than truth. I was wrong. Go to your old bedroom. Lift the floorboard beneath the window, the one that always creaked. There you'll find my journal and your father's last letter to me. Read them, understand, and then decide if you can forgive a mother who loved you too much to let you carry the weight she's been carrying alone. I love you. I always loved you. Even when you hated me. Mom. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step a journey backward through time. My bedroom door was still painted pale blue, the color I chose when I was 6. Inside, nothing had changed. My bed, my bookshelf, my drawings still taped to the wall. I knelt by the window and pressed the floorboard. It creaked, just like she said. Beneath it lay a metal box wrapped in cloth. Inside were 2 things: a leather journal filled with my mother's handwriting, and a sealed envelope, addressed to her, in handwriting I didn't recognize. I opened the journal first. June 3rd, 1991. The doctors confirmed it today. Daniel has the same disease that took his father and grandfather. There is no cure. They gave him maybe 3 years. He didn't cry. He just held my hand and said, I won't let Clara watch me die. I begged him to stay. I told him we would face it together, but he's already made up his mind. My heart stopped. I kept reading. June 15th, 1991. Daniel is planning something. He won't tell me everything, but he says he has to disappear. He says it's the only way to protect Clara from the trauma of watching her father become a stranger. The disease affects the mind first. Memory, personality. He's terrified of hurting her while he's still conscious enough to know what he's doing. I don't know if I can let him go, but I don't know if I have the right to make him stay. June 28th, 1991. He left today. He kissed Clara goodbye while she was sleeping. He wrote her a letter for when she's older. Then he walked out the door and didn't look back. I fell apart. I wanted to run after him, to drag him home, to tell him we could handle anything together, but he made me promise. He made me swear I would never tell Clara the truth, not until I was gone too. He said if she knew he was dying, she would try to find him, and he couldn't bear for her to see what he would become. I couldn't breathe. All those years I thought he abandoned me because he didn't love me. All those years I blamed him, hated him, convinced myself I wasn't worth staying for. And he left because he loved me too much to let me watch him disappear. I turned to the envelope. my father's handwriting, strong and careful. My dearest Eleanor, by the time you read this, I'll be gone from this world, not just from your life, but from existence itself. I've chosen a place far away where no one knows me, where I can fade quietly without causing more pain. I know you think I'm being selfish. Maybe I am. But I watched my father become a monster in his final years. I watched him scream at my mother, throw things, forget her name while she cried at his bedside. I remember thinking, I would rather die than put someone I love through this. Now, it's my turn. And I meant what I said. Please tell Clara, when she's ready, that leaving her was the hardest thing I ever did. That every day I wanted to come back, to hold her one more time, to hear her laugh at my terrible jokes. But I knew if I came back, I wouldn't be able to leave again. And then she would have to watch me become someone else. Tell her I loved her. Tell her I never stopped loving her. Tell her that every sunrise I see, I think of her. Every bird song reminds me of her voice. She is the best thing I ever did in this world, and that's why I had to protect her from the worst part of me. Take care of yourself, Eleanor. Take care of our girl. Forever yours, Daniel. I was sobbing so hard I couldn't see. My chest heaved with grief for a man I had hated, a man I had mourned as a coward, a man who had carried an impossible burden alone, so that I wouldn't have to. But there was more in the journal. I wiped my eyes and kept reading. October 14, 1991. I received news today. Daniel passed away in a hospice in Vermont. He had given them my information as his emergency contact, but asked them not to call unless it was the end. He was alone. He died alone. Thinking of us. I can't stop crying. I can't eat. I can't sleep. And I can't tell Clara. She's only 7. How do I explain that her father loved her so much, he died alone, rather than let her see him suffer? So I said nothing. I let her think he abandoned us. I let her hate him, because hatred is easier to carry than grief. At least that's what I told myself. I was a coward too. The journal continued for years, entry after entry of my mother's guilt, her loneliness, her desperate wish to tell me the truth, but her fear of breaking me. She watched me grow bitter. She watched me push people away, convinced that everyone I loved would leave. She blamed herself for every failed relationship, every sleepless night, every tear I shed. March 8th, 2019. Star, Clara hasn't spoken to me in 2 years. She called me a liar, said I ruined her ability to trust anyone. She's right. I am a liar. But I lied for love. Does that make it better or worse? I don't know anymore. I just know I'm tired. The doctors say my heart is failing. Perhaps that's fitting. It's been broken for so long. When I die, I'll leave her the truth. She deserves to know, even if she hates me for keeping it from her. At least she'll understand that her father didn't choose to leave. He chose to spare her, and I chose to spare her too, in my own foolish way. I hope she can forgive us both. I closed the journal and held it to my chest. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. The same sky my father watched while thinking of me. The same sky my mother saw through this window every night, carrying her secrets alone. I had spent my whole life believing I wasn't enough, that something about me drove people away, that love was a trap, a promise that would always be broken. But my father didn't leave because of me. He left for me. And my mother stayed silent not because she was cruel, but because she didn't know how to explain a love so powerful, it destroyed itself. The next morning, I went to the cemetery where my mother was buried. The grave was fresh, the flowers still bright. I knelt on the cold ground and placed the journal beside the headstone. I understand now, I whispered. I forgive you. I forgive both of you. I stayed there for hours, crying, talking, releasing 32 years of anger, that no longer had anywhere to go. When I finally stood, my legs were numb, but my heart felt lighter. There was one more thing I needed to do. It took me 3 days to find it. A small hospice in Vermont where my father spent his final weeks. The records were old, but they still had his file. A nurse who had worked there for decades remembered him. He talked about you all the time. She said, "His daughter, Clara. He kept your picture by his bed." She handed me a box of his possessions. Inside were faded photographs of me as a child, a lock of my hair tied with ribbon, and a dozen letters addressed to me but never sent. I read them on the plane home. Each one was dated on my birthday. Year after year, he wrote to me, telling me about his day, asking questions he knew I'd never answer, describing the world he was slowly forgetting. In his final letter, written in shaky handwriting barely legible, he said, "My darling Clara, I don't remember much anymore. Sometimes I forget my own name, but I never forget yours. You are the one thing the disease cannot take from me. You are my greatest treasure. I know I'll never send these letters. I know you probably hate me. But if somehow, someday, you learn the truth, please know this. Leaving you broke me in ways this disease never could. I died the day I walked out your door. Everything after was just waiting. But I would do it again. 1,000 times, I would do it again. Because you deserved a father who was present and loving, not a ghost haunting your childhood with his deterioration. I hope your life is beautiful. I hope you find someone who stays. I hope you learn to trust again, even though I broke that trust before you were old enough to understand why. You are my heart. You always will be. I'm writing this now, sitting in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by the journals and letters of 2 people who loved me imperfectly, but completely. The house feels different now. Not haunted, but healing. Tomorrow I'm meeting with a therapist for the first time in my life. I'm going to learn how to let go of the anger I've carried for so long. I'm going to learn how to accept love without waiting for it to leave. My father died alone in a hospice, thinking of me. My mother died alone in this house, keeping his secret. And for 32 years, I lived alone in my own heart, not knowing that I was loved beyond measure by both of them. The tragedy isn't that they left. The tragedy is that they thought leaving was the only way to love me. But I understand now. Love doesn't always look like staying. Sometimes it looks like sacrifice. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like walking away so the person you love doesn't have to watch you fall apart. I don't know if I would have made the same choices they made. I don't know if their way was right or wrong. But I know they loved me. And after all these years, that's enough. Tonight, I'm going to light a candle and say goodbye to the people I've been hating for most of my life. I'm going to thank them for loving me in the only way they knew how. And then, I'm going to start living. Really living. Not as the abandoned daughter. Not as the bitter woman who trusted no one, but as Clara. Just Clara. A woman with a complicated past and an open future. My father wrote in his last letter, "I hope you find someone who stays." I finally understand what he meant. The person who needs to stay is me. I need to stay present in my own life. Stay open to love. Stay brave enough to let people in. That's his gift to me. Not his presence, but his hope. The hope that I would become someone whole, someone healed, someone worthy of the love he had for me. I'm going to make that hope real. For him. For her. For me.